This one's got a suggestive title.
Oh,
Ew.
shit. Oh, fuck. That's
The name of this is Wonderful Sausage.
Wonderful sausage.
We know all about wonderful,
Whoa.
wonderful sausage.
So this is a sausage meatball
Made out of someone's own arm, probably.
in an arm holding...
The
Yes.
hand is yeah.
Some
Its own
say
left
he was
hand.
fed to the hogs.
What?
Others say he was fed to his sausage grinder, but he was never seen again, and neither was his wonderful sausage meat.
It really says
Okay.
He's
that.
just showing his
So he's a
dick to
butcher who
everyone.
killed his wife, and he ground her up into sausage meat and buried her bones under a big flat rock in the backyard. And he
It's
told everybody
called
she moved
special.
away.
Mm-hmm. And he
So
sold
he
them
mixed his new
per
sausage
week.
meat
Sweeney
with pork
Todd.
and
Yum.
he smoked it, and he called it Blunt Special Sausage because his name was Blunt. And there was such a demand that
Ooh, I love your special.
he
stuff.
oh gross. He bought the best hogs he could find and started raising his own pork, and he kept a sharp lookout for humans who might make a tasty sausage meat. How does one know that? Like, how do you look at somebody and be like, oh,
Because
she'd be good in a sausage?
I'd be
Marbling.
amazing.
Yeah,
I
you're
have
probably right.
big muscles and a fat butt, so
Mm.
I
So
would
you'd be
taste
great in a sausage.
amazing.
Delicious.
It would be so good.
I'm probably...
My butt is probably really tender.
One
I'm
day,
probably like deer meat.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
very
it's all
lean.
tendony and
Be
like,
really-
oh, it
it'd
tastes
be
like
rough.
tobacco and bourbon.
We'd have to brine you really
Yeah,
well.
yeah, a lot.
And then we'd be
just
like,
to get it soft
or like just
again.
make it like jerky, and
Mhm.
we're like, this is okay if we put a lot of flavor, like.
But
a
there's
lot of
only
spice.
like
jerky.
a pound and a
Dairy
half
jerky.
of my meat will end up being
Julia would be
digestible.
like the little bird you eat,
It's
covered
delightful.
by
Like
like
a
covered with a
delicacy.
cloth, the
Mhm.
French thing where
Yeah.
they're like you have to hide your shame when you.
You're
eat
like a
it. You're
Cornish hen.
What? I don't know
Do you
of
know
this
what
delicacy.
I'm talking about? There's a thing where it's a French, it's like a tiny bird that's
Mhm.
super tiny and delicate, and it's so tiny that you eat the entire thing with its skeleton in one
Ew,
bite.
that's disgusting.
But the tradition, I know, but the tradition is because you're like murdering a delicate, beautiful animal when you eat it. You cover your entire face with your napkin, and you just you gotta
And then
yeah.
you fuck.
That should be. It's probably an aphrodisiac because you're like
Yeah,
just
this
murdered.
is fucking
So is it
sick.
still alive when you put it in your mouth?
No, it's cooked.
If you're doing it right, yeah.
If you want to be super.
This is
fucking
something that
metal
I'm not
about it.
gonna look up. I'm never gonna
No.
do a Google image search for this.
Oh no, I
Delicate-
wouldn't look up an image
Delicate
search.
napkin
but
bird.
napkin. I don't remember what it is, but I remember learning about it. It's just like veal tastes great, and that's evil.
Yeah.
It's not nice.
It's not sexy at all.
It's delicious.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Gross.
Yeah.
It's so
it's
mean.
not sexy.
Like foie gras is delicious, and it's so mean.
not sexy.
It's basically like Abu Ghraib for like
Yeah.
poor little.
Ew.
Little
geese.
geesies, yeah.
You're like torturing them. They didn't do anything wrong. They have no information that they can give up. You just
They
want
just-
to overfatten their.
Who 3,000 years ago in like Rome was
Was
like,
like,
you
"Let's
know
do
what, the
that."
liver of this bird?
Tastes awesome when you fucking force feed it.
Why did you force feed that bird?
Can't you just give it McDonald's like the rest of the fucking world
Yeah.
and like let it get fatty on? Like I'm sure it could get really fatty without force feeding it. There's gotta you just give
So
it
you're
French fries.
advocating like a
Hey,
free
look, it's your-
range
it's
foie
your-
gras.
That's gotta be possible.
That's
What
like-
is that a
It's your,
lion?
your
That's-
Aunt Lisa.
That's Aunt Lisa when she got a bunch of like surgical things done so she could look more like a kitty cat.
This just looks like an album cover to like an '80s band that's like we are Lion Claw.
You're taking on the run, baby. If that's the way you want it, baby, then I don't want you around. Somebody was stealing the meat Jed Smith kept in his smokehouse. Every day a ham or some bacon or something else was missing. Finally, Jed decided he had to put a stop to it. One night he hid in the smokehouse with his rifle and he waited for the thief. He didn't have to wait long, for soon a black she-cat slunk in. How can you tell that? Unless she looks
That-
like that. She's
that
got a
whore.
pearl necklace and earrings and a mullet.
Fucking worn
That
out
bitch.
whore.
She was the biggest cat Jed had ever seen. When she jumped up and pulled down a ham hanging from the ceiling, Jed grabbed his rifle and turned on the lights. But instead of running away, the cat jumped at him. He fired and shot off one of her paws.
Oh shit!
Jed was sure he would have heard a woman scream right after his gun went off. The cat began tearing around the room, spitting and yowling. Okay, so this is like the cat, the bat cat, maybe.
Bad cat.
Then she ran up the chimney and was gone. Jed stared at the cat's paw, only it wasn't a cat's paw anymore. A woman's foot lay wriggling on the floor, all shot up and bloody. So it's a witch that's been doing it, he told himself. Just then one of Jed's neighbors, a fellow named Burdick,
That comes out of nowhere.
yeah, do we need to know that? Came racing down the road to get a doctor. His wife's foot had been shot in an accident, he told Jed. She's bleeding pretty bad, he said. The doctor got to her barely in time. People who were there when it happened said that she was spitting and yowling just like a cat.
Can we talk about how Burdick is abusing his wife by not feeding her and she has to turn into a cat to steal meats?
Can we
Yeah.
talk about how Burdick's parents named him Burdick?
That's
I think
why
those
he's
are the
an
real bad
abuser.
guys in this story.
That's why he's an
It's a
Male
cycle of
cats.
abuse. It's like, yeah.
Have penises that when they
Burdicks?
Yeah, they have burdicks. When they put their penises
I've
in the
heard
kitty
that.
cat, it kind of
Yeah.
gets some purchase in there and like
Ooh.
the
There's
tissue.
that's
another
why-
bad cat.
Yeah, here we go. When
Oh,
I wake up,
you.
everything will be alright.
There's so many bad
Oh,
cats.
see, but this is
you.
another chapter thing. There are
No,
scary
it-
stories here about a
Why is the
subway.
bat cat back?
The bat cat
bat cat's
sucks.
back.
I
The
want to
baby
Yeah, I don't like his
next
belly
day.
button.
the bat cat's human navel is the most atrocious and like
See, it kind
anti-god
of has like
thing.
man boobs. Like
Yeah.
it's kind of
Yeah,
shaped
it
like a
looks
middle-aged
kind of like
man.
a
Yes,
shitty-
that's why we think it's a man because it feels
like a
like it's
shitty
like
guy.
oh god, it's this
Yeah, he doesn't
insurance
have boobs.
salesman who's like got me drunk and took me home.
What the fuck?
It's like a
That's-
ghost
that's-
dinosaur.
I kind of
Ghost
want to get
Godzilla.
like full
that's
posters of
terrible.
this. Hang it in your bedroom overnight. You wake up to it like in the darkness when you have to pee.
You're like, why did I get that?
The cat in a shopping bag. There's a lot of cat ones in this one.
Cats. Everyone thinks they're evil, but they're really awesome, and they make good Reddit gifts.
Preaching to the choir. Okay, so a woman runs over a cat. She couldn't bear to leave the corpse on the road for other cars to hit, so she wrapped it in some tissue paper, put it in an old shopping bag, and she was going to bury it when she got home. And then she went to the mall,
hmm
and
No,
she's walking around,
with the dead cat in the bag. Why would you?
and
do
then
that?
she sees a woman steal the cat bag from her car and drive away.
What?
And so she runs back to her car and follows the woman. And she caught up with her at a diner down the road. And she followed her inside and watched the woman slide into a booth and give the waitress her order. As the woman sat sipping her soda, she reached into Mrs. Briggs' shopping bag. Then she bent down and looked inside. A look of horror crossed her face. She screamed and fainted. Yeah. Okay.
hmm
Woman called an ambulance. Attendants carried her on the stretcher, but they left the shopping bag behind. This is hers, she called. It's her Christmas present. She wouldn't want to lose it.
What a sadistic, fucked up person.
Well, I mean, that's what she gets for stealing, I
it.
guess.
She's still this woman's.
It's a
That's really,
Christmas present.
that's really fucked up.
That's a weird punchline,
That
though.
is
Yeah.
really weird. So Mrs.
Okay.
Briggs was trying to
Are they
save.
writing this for the the brains of like a 9-year-old kid?